John Beverly, the Candyman, the businessman with a conscience, on LICMC.net radio every Saturday at 3 p.m.
Hello, everyone. This is John Beverly, the businessman with a conscience, here at the Milan Village, where each one reach one, each one teach one. One brick, one building, one block at a time. And as we often say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we show that we care about the things that we do. And today, I would like to hopefully share some information with you guys about prevention and some of the based upon once again the decisions that we make brings about consequences. Here lately I've been finding myself constantly over and over talking to people because so much is going on in everybody's lives. And one of the things in particular I wanted to talk about is the young kids, the teenagers, and the decisions that they're making. And unfortunately, uh, sometimes entertainment can be good and sometimes it could be bad. And I'm thinking more or less, the games and things that the children are playing. If you notice, when they're playing these different games, the most exciting part about it is the graphics. The part about when they shooting, or back in the day, it was Miss Pat-Man or Pat-Man or something of that sort. The little ping pong, little simple games and stuff, but they wasn't real exciting, but it was fun to play those different games. But today they have games more or less, the more it is about killing and robbing and stealing cars of that sort. That's what seems to be what really turns the children on, from the young ones to the even teenagers is doing stuff like that. The more blood they see, the more things that they see, getting away from the cops, shooting the cops, getting stealing cars and just stuff like that, tearing off people's arms, and just and the more blood they see, look like it seems to be the more exciting that it is for them. And I often be telling people that it's a training, it's in the mind. It gets to the point where they look at this stuff so much and they play the game so much that it desensitizes them. It get them where they, emotional. They don't affect their emotions. Uh, they don't have feelings. They all they want to do is destroy, tear up something, or steal and be able to get away with it and say that they brag about how they got away with it or something of that sort. And I was talking to a young man as early as this morning, and a couple of different guys this week, and we was talking about how today, a lot of the young people are dying just as well as the older people. And today, we've been looking at so much death, 16-year-olds and 17, and 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds. People is, killing them. They killing each other and doing different things. And what I was seeing in that all of this different stuff, when a kid today, when you do something to them, the first thing they want to do. Back in the day, we would, say, meet me outside, and we go outside and get the dukes on. We throw up and we did a little karate or a little boxing or whatever, and did what we had to do. And once that was over with, whoever won, they won, and we went on. If I won or you won or whatever, and going on about our business. But today, if they manage to get that far and manage to go outside to settle it, it's still not settled, because once either you get beat up or the person get beat up, then the loser want to go home and get a gun or a knife or something and come back, and You thinking everything is over with and mess around being got stabbed or shot or something of that sort. And the sad part about it, they don't even think about it. You know, they even in some cases they go back and bragged about it, man. Yeah, that Negro thought he had did something, but I went back and I blew his head off, or I did this, or I got even with him, you know. But you didn't know you was getting ready to ruin your life. You didn't think about somebody seeing you. You didn't think about somebody was gonna tell on you. You know, this thing out here, some snitches bring stitches. Well, if you don't know who's telling on you, you know, somebody, I mean, how do you get even with that person? And the sad part, once the police finally catches up with you and you go to jail and you're sitting there and you have all that time, sometimes in some cases, if you're lucky and catch a good break, you might sit down for 6 months. That's 6 months of your life. You might sit down for even a year or two or three. And I know some people that have been to jail and have got out, and everybody tell you, you don't want to go there. I know I don't want to go there, so I ain't trying to do nothing that gonna cause me to go there. A lot of times at one time or another, somebody thought I was selling drugs and this and that there, but I ain't doing nothing that gonna cause me to. If I get caught doing it, I'm going to jail. I may get caught running a red light or a stop sign every now and then and get a ticket, but that's the closest I'm gonna get because I'm gonna hurry up and pay that. Now, I ain't gonna have no warrant out for my arrest. But back to the young kids that's messing up, that didn't take the time and think about. Now he's sitting in jail thinking about, man, if I would have just let it go, if I'd have just took the whooping and went on about my business, at least I would be, I'd have been a little embarrassed. That's about the worst thing that could, you might have been embarrassed. That's about the worst thing that could have happened. But now, because you didn't take, settle it with the Dukes and, fight. Hello, sorry about that. I had a little problem there for a minute. But nevertheless, like I was saying, here it is. You done got all this time to sit down in jail and think about. All I had to do was walk away. In fact, if you'd have made a better decision, you wouldn't have even had to take it outside. You'd have just let it go. Say, my bad. It's better for you to say, I'm sorry and keep it moving than to have to deal with it and not keep it moving and take it outside. And because even when you're in a fight, when you win, I mean, the other person ain't standing up there. You even get hit then a few times. And a person told me one time, I said, man, I said, what happened to you? He said, well, I was in a fight. I said, well, I sure hate to see the other person because if you won it, the first thing they want you to know, well, I won. But if you won, the last thing you want to do is see that other person because if he is in any kind of shape like you, if you won, he got to be in worse shape than you in. But nevertheless, I tell people if you get in a fight, you're gonna know you've been in one. So the best thing for you to do is to avoid it at all costs. I would usually walk away or run from a fight. I tell people, hey, let me go. I don't want to, I ain't trying to do this here. I'll run, but if you mess around and catch me, then I got to do what I got to do. But it's easy. I'd rather for them to say, there he go, than there he lay. And now you sitting up in the hospital. Unfortunately, person that you done killed or whatever is gone. His family is all messed up and mad at you and upset with you because you have, messed up their lives and did something to their loved ones. But what about your loved ones? What about your family? You may have a wife, you may have a girlfriend, you may have kids. Now you have made a choice in your life to go and do some stupid stuff like this here and not realizing the consequences. And now you wishing you wouldn't have done that. But unfortunately, since you made that decision, now you got to deal with it. Now you got 2, 3, 4, 5 years of your life that's ruined. Your family can't see you, your mom, dad, and your children, your girlfriends. And sometimes it's not just, you fall out with a guy or whatever. Sometimes we fall out with our little girlfriends and things. But did you think about once you did whatever you did to get even and you in jail, your girlfriend or whoever is still out doing whatever she was doing before she went in. So we got to think about these different things that we're doing. Think about the decisions that we make. Uh, a young guy was in here, like I say, I talked to somebody as early as today, and we was talking, and he was talking about some decisions that he wished he wouldn't have made, and the stuff that he had to go through while he was in prison because of a stupid mistake. He said he would, if he could do it all over again. He used to sell. He said he used to sell drugs and did a few other different things, and then was a drug addict himself. He said, but if he would have thought about it like he had the time to think about it while he was doing in jail doing his time, he would have made another decision because the time that he was sitting up in jail, he thought about it. If I'd have been at home, I could have been going to work my little 8 hours, come home, enjoy my family, have me a nice, decent meal instead of have to eat this bread and turkey or bread and bologna or whatever. I could have had some choices. I could have, been out here driving around, enjoying myself, partying, and doing other different things. But that decision that you made brings about the consequences, whether they good, bad, or deliverance or difference. They can bring good consequences if you make the right decision, not to do what you're doing that you know is going to get you in trouble or going to cause you a problem or that's going to put you in jail or something of that sort. And you'll be able to enjoy life. You'll be able to come and go when you get ready, not listen to a prisoner guard telling you, turn the lights off, it's time to go to bed. Excuse me. Here's a bologna sandwich and some water or bread or milk or whatever. When you know you just long and wishing you could get out, go to the store and pick you up a steak and it's something as simple as maybe I just want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich today and be able to make that, or I want tuna fish, or I want to fry me some chicken or make me some chicken rice and gravy or steak and gravy or whatever it might be. But since you made the wrong decision, you have to deal with that. My allergy is kind of messing with me, so y'all forgive me. But I just want you to think about it. Excuse me. Before you do, before you make these decisions, before you make those bad decisions. Sometimes you get caught up with the wrong crowd, and you end up in jail, and sometimes you wonder, how did I end up here? Because the person that was really doing the stuff is still out there doing it. Well, guess what? He was the snitch. He was the one that told on you. He was the one that told them that it was you that was doing this and that and what have you. And we'd run around talking about, I ain't snitching, I ain't snitching. But how did you end up in jail and he was doing more than you was doing and still in the streets, living his life? Perhaps doing things he been already doing, or perhaps he's making a better decision in life. Maybe he done got a job, working a 9 to 5, getting his paycheck on a Friday, paying his bills and stuff, driving around in a nice car, enjoying his family, which was the same things that you could have been doing if you would have made the right decision. So remember, based upon decisions that you make, brings about consequences, whether they're good, bad, or different. I often say what's good to you is not always good for you. So we have to make the decision to do things that's good for us. So hopefully I said something to encourage you, to steer you in the right direction, to make you think about what you're doing before you do it. And you can make that right decision. This is John Beverly, the businessman with a conscience, here at the Alcumalon Village, where each one reach one, each one teach one. One brick, one building, one block at a time. And as we often say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we could take the time and just don't share no information, don't say nothing, but you have to care enough about people to try to tell them that they're doing the wrong thing, that you need to make a better decision. So I care just that much about you. So thank you and have a great day. And thanks for listening.
Thank you for joining Joy Ministries. Thank you for joining.
John Beverly, the Candyman, the businessman with a conscience. John Beverly, the Candyman, the businessman with a conscience, on LICMC.net radio every Saturday at 3 p.m.